bailing out the airlines, tracking hotel prices, and fuel surcharges are going through the roof. All of that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
Ish is getting expensive. I said ish.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you say ish? So happy Tuesday, Mark. Welcome back to, you were in Vegas. I saw you this weekend in Sin City.
Took my son out there for a couple nights, and he really had a great time. Made his top 5 trips of all time, so that would make you happy. That slotted in there. He really, the best thing he thought was Hoover Dam and just like the natural beauty of driving out that way. And then also we dipped into Arizona for a little bit and saw the Colorado River and enjoyed all that. And he's kind of a nature person, so he enjoyed that aspect of it. Saw Wizard of Oz, which he thought was really cool, and got to eat Thai and Asian food, which is his favorite. So it was like all the great things in Connor's life he got to do.
That's amazing. And we're talking about it on the Vegas show over the next week and a half. I think we're going to do a deep dive on our Patreon after show as well, and maybe even more with Connor. So a lot of that coming over on the Vegas side because it was a Vegas trip. But, I think the biggest takeaway you've had through covering Vegas and traveling there more as a tourist is there's a lot to do outside of the city, outside of those casinos.
Especially off the strip. Like if you get off the strip, we've talked about Arts District feels like middle America when you're in there, and there's so many cool restaurants and bars. Everybody knows about Fremont Street and the different vibe that has. But we've gone out to Laughlin, which is a unique experience, kind of like a throwback. And then going out to the Hoover Dam, it's really inspiring when you see it. And yeah, you can see it in videos and pictures, but it doesn't really do it justice until you see it in person. And then you go to Boulder City, you get to see the bighorn sheep, which I did take him to the park there, and he got to witness that, which was pretty cool. And then I drove him through downtown. I noticed there is a Best Western there, so now I might need to sign up for a Best Western card just to get enough points. I really want to stay like 2 nights in Boulder City, just kind of like hang out in the vibe of the city. If you've never been there, it's very cool, very unique. They don't allow any like tall buildings to be built. There's no casinos within the city limits. It's just completely different than anything else you see in Vegas or Nevada.
And right next to Hoover Dam, right next to Lake Mead too. So the location is kind of neat there. And glad you got to do it. And so much to do. And Mark's always talking about that stuff over on the Vegas show, taking his tourist perspective, because I think so many people, and even especially in the miles and points game, people are coming to Rio. They're doing plays. They're coming on conferences or whatever, FHR bookings, all sorts of weird things. And they don't ever think like get beyond the strip.
Yeah, and everything on the strip. I mean, all the videos on the internet are Vegas is so expensive, and that's all the strip prices. Yes, the strip is expensive. Doing things on the strip are expensive, but if you get off it, even just going to like Fremont, the prices drop quite a bit. If you go Arts District, they're pretty normal prices. If you get outside of that even further, like we went out to the Hoover Dam Lodge, which is just outside of Boulder City. We did that last year, I believe, and in the casino, you could get a Kirin Ichiban beer for $2.50. Like, there's still a lot of value. You just got to get off the strip.
You did the perfect segue, Kirin Ichiban, to JAL and ANA doubling their fuel surcharges. So come to Vegas to get your Japanese beer, because going to Japan is soon going to be more expensive. That is the moral of the story. And this is a temporary increase, and hopefully it goes back. Yeah, well, I mean, at least in the Japanese style, they gave a rule. They gave a end date, unlike some of the other airlines that are just saying, oh, maybe later we'll put it back down. So this goes through June 30th as of right now. And basically on a one-way, you're looking at going from 160 to 180 before to 350 per segment. And this depends on a lot. I mean, we've seen this with Virgin. And I mean, when you're looking at awards lately, the fuel surcharges are rough all across the board.
Yeah, it's been kind of terrible. And I get fuel costs have gone up. And we're going to talk about another program doing a little bit of devaluation coming up. And that's where I wonder, like, do you like the U.S. carriers' way of doing this, where yes, everything's dynamic, so the cost has gone up, so the awards are probably a bit more expensive than you notice elsewhere. I think you can still find some really good deals in there, but it's a bit harder than it was maybe last year. But the taxes and fees stay the same, or would you rather have the miles stay the same and the taxes and fees jump up for a short period of time?
It's interesting because some programs have high taxes and fees and high mileage requirements. But what Mark is saying is a lot of the US airlines, for example, you book with American Airlines on a JAL flight, you're not paying those fuel surcharges. So there is some value. I mean, a lot of times the partner awards are better on some of these airlines, but yeah, I think we're going to get hit both ways. I guess being the cheap person I am, I still like seeing lower fuel surcharges. I guess that's my answer. Seeing that higher cash price, especially you're looking at an economy ticket and then $700 a round trip in fees. And some of these are 500, 600, but this is what we were paying a few years ago for round trip economy tickets on some airlines, especially from the East Coast. So I think travel is getting more expensive and it's going to hit us in the pocketbook, even when you're using miles and points.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I'd rather have it be miles and points because you can earn at a higher rate usually than cash back, or there's transfer bonuses and things like that that you can mitigate the rise in cost there, sign up bonuses, things, and they just come in bigger waves than you can earn cash. And yeah, you can do bank bonuses or sign up bonuses that are cash back, or focus on earning there a bit more, or even cash out your points. It's just not usually at quite the same level, although we are working our way down to the 1 penny per point for a lot of these programs. So I think it's getting closer and closer to that being a net wash. The other side of this is, yeah, these fuel surcharges go up, especially with these airlines. They're saying we will bring them back down. I don't know that Virgin will ever bring theirs back down, but at least you could do that where you know that if they bake in these fees, if it was an award chart change, that's probably locked in for life. So maybe that's the good and bad with the dynamic prices of the American Airlines, the American carriers, is that yeah, they go up, but once prices come back down, the awards should go down too.
It used to be that you just got a ticket for free. You used miles and you got the ticket, you paid whatever taxes the government charged. And this really sucks. It's almost like a resort fee. It's almost like they figured out a way to get the resort fee and now they can just charge you more while still getting the mileage from you. And this is definitely a strategy in the industry. It's just been happening a long time. It's not just starting now, and there's not much you can do about it. All the airlines are also losing a ton of money, or they face tons of losses in the new fuel environment, depending on the wider world events. Up until now, a lot of the reserves have sort of kept prices from really going crazy. But if they do go crazy, it makes it even harder. And a lot of airlines probably will fold because of this if things don't get better in that realm. From a business perspective, they're trying to raise revenues by doing this. I think the Japanese carriers, though, to give them credit, I think putting an end date on this is a very good thing. It's saying, hey, the world is a little crazy. We're just going to take a little bit more from you right now. And hopefully things will be better in the future.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, and I understand that there are costs they need to deal with. If you took advantage of like the built transfer to Japan Airlines, you might want to try to book it now, or you might be sitting on those points for a little bit if you're worried about the fuel surcharges. And that's part of the problem if you take advantage of good transfer bonuses and you don't really have a plan for them. Anything like this can happen at any time, especially with airlines. Maybe less so with hotels. There's devaluations that can happen, but it's not like you're going to get hit with all these unexpected fees at hotels. Outside of some programs will charge you the resort fee, but that's you know that going in. So I think that speculatively transferring airline points is a bit riskier, and that's why I try not to do it as much as possible.
Shout out to Delta for being ahead of the curve on the 1 cent per point airline mile.
Yeah. I mean, Hilton was ahead of the curve and a half a cent, and that's where everybody's going for hotel points too.
Well, Aeroplan is definitely headed in that direction. They announced in June a devaluation to their award charts. And there's a few awards, very niche awards, that are going down slightly, but the vast majority of awards are going up 5, 10, 15, 20,000 points, depending on the type. It seems to me like first class is the most heavily hit here, but business class awards hit pretty significantly as well. And Aeroplan is the best deal for a lot of airlines, a lot of Star Alliance airlines. I mean, I most of the time find myself using Aeroplan.
Yeah, and they have the most partners out there too of any airline because they go outside of the alliance and have all these other partnerships and things. So it's a really useful program. They've had some transfer bonuses. Their credit card is one of the better airline credit cards, I think. So I think there's a lot of people that are fully invested in Aeroplan. I don't think that this is the worst devaluation we've seen. It stinks, especially going to Europe and stuff like that. 5,000, I think it's 5,000 miles more in business, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. So I think they kind of threaded the needle a bit here where they're getting what they need back, but it's not like, oh, I'm done with that program. Somewhat like Hyatt.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's that bad. It's just a marginal sort of increase across the board. Some are worse than others. We've seen this with so many devaluations over the years. I guess the one good news out of this, short haul business class awards within Europe have gone from 15,000 miles to 12,500. So you get that
There you go.
empty block middle seat. It's all fancy and everything.
What a deal.
It's not. I mean, come on. I don't think it's bad at all. And if I was facing, a lot of times cash prices on those short hauls aren't that much different than redeeming 12,500 miles. I mean, I would have done it at 15K before, but finding the silver lining here. But I think airlines across the board, we're going to see all kinds of changes. The economics of being an airline right now are rough.
I think they got to think quick on their feet, and then they just have to decide which way do they want to get the money back. Some have raised bag fees because there's more weight, or there's more cost to carrying that weight. So that was a way to get it. Others have raised award fuel surcharges. Others are changing their award loyalty program. So it's just interesting to see who does what and who grabs from where. I think bag fees are the best because you can avoid them. So I wish everybody would just jack up their bag fees. Call that a win.
Although I don't know how jacking up bag fees is accounting for fuel surcharges. This is just like, hey, we wanted to raise these anyway. Let's use this as an excuse for
Because
long-term revenue.
it costs more to carry the bags, more weight, more fuel. I get it. You can
Oh,
mental
come on.
gymnastics your way into it.
Yeah, of course you can. Well, there's one other way that airlines are trying to survive, and that's getting a government bailout. And last week we talked about all the rumors that Spirit might fail. Well, there's some plan in the works for the U.S. government to give them $500 million to help them exit bankruptcy. And the government would take an equity stake in Spirit Airlines if this were to happen. And it seems like this is a good plan if the alternative is them collapsing, because that a lot of markets would be hurt by that. The pricing would ripple across all the other airlines. But in addition to that, I guess there's a consortium of budget airlines that are going to the government saying, hey, give us money too. Frontier, Avelo, others, they want up to $2.5 billion, same sort of equity thing. So airlines financially probably not doing good, and they have their hands out to the government now.
Yeah, now they're really going to be U.S. carriers. But now, I just want to know,
Ba-doom-boosh.
when are we going to get to the point that companies that make poor decisions pay for them? Like, if it goes under, it goes under. And I get it, when they're like 2008, it would have been a financial crisis if nobody stepped in and did anything. That was like a whole economy wide type of struggle there. So I get that. Or like during COVID, when airlines just couldn't fly because of government sanctions and lockdowns and all those things. Okay, there. But this, yes, the one line item fuel, probably their biggest expense, cost line item expense, goes up to double. But if that makes you bankrupt within like weeks, you didn't have an airline that was going to make it anyway. I don't think that there was a way they were going to dig out of this. Either way, they've made lots of poor decisions along the way. I mean, there's competitors of theirs that have been making money. Allegiant makes money. Sun Country makes money. So it's not like this is a low cost carrier problem. It's Spirit and Frontier have made bad decisions to get to this point. So do they deserve a bailout, or is this just going to allow people to continue to make bad decisions because they're like, oh, I always got Uncle Sam to back me up?
Speaking of Sun Country, I didn't talk about it last week, but when I did the Minneapolis meetup, I flew Sun Country for the first time coming back, and I can report that it was absolutely fine, just like all the other airlines. It just felt like an airline.
Yeah, but I think the problem with low cost carriers, and something they need to really consider, is that they don't have the loyalty programs to fall back on. That when American or Delta or United or even Alaska get into trouble, is they can use that as leverage to get more money. They can sell more miles to the banking partners. We saw that with American selling to Citi to stay afloat back in the day, and when they need to go get loans, they can get cheaper rates because they're like, hey, I have this loyalty program that's worth billions of dollars. And the low cost carriers just have never really focused on that. And I think that's a miss on their part. Everybody else is trying to make a run down to the bottom. Maybe come out with something that's creative, that it offers value. Get on all these partners. I think one thing, good thing Spirit did was join Built Rewards, but Built Rewards is pretty niche still. I think you need to get in with like membership rewards, get in with Ultimate Rewards, have them buying your miles, and then offer a program that is something people want. And then you'll have value. You're adding income that doesn't have massive overhead like everything else you do. So I think that's where the focus should be for these low cost carriers.
I think they should all just paint their planes a bright color. I think that's worked really well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's move on. American Airlines, they have these new rules for portable charge. How long have we had portable chargers, Mark? I don't know, a long time.
Yeah.
But there have been incidents with them smoking or catching on fire. A lot of airlines, internationally especially, have rules against checking them, and you're not allowed to check them into baggage. But even where you have them on the plane, when you have them on the plane, they want you to have them on your person. They don't want you to charge them, and that's what American Airlines is sort of implementing now as well. You're only allowed to carry a maximum of 2, and then they can't even be stuffed in the overhead bin or below your seat. They have to be with you. You can't charge them during flight. So they're very concerned about some sort of incident happening and then them being able to see it happen. All these planes, how many millions of portable batteries are flying every single day? Am I just too nonchalant about the danger of this?
I don't know. I watched a video on View from the Wing on, I think it was a China Airlines flight, that the overhead compartment was just like engulfed in flames while they were flying. And that'd be pretty scary. I don't think they had the proper fire extinguisher to put it out, which kind of blows my mind. If you know that this is a potential problem, I think you should have a specialty fire extinguisher that works for lithium batteries on the airline. It just seemed like nobody was really doing anything in the video for the 15 seconds that we got of it. I think he said the American carriers have like this fireproof bag or something and gloves that they can pick it up and throw it in. I don't know how all that works, but you definitely need to have that system in place first. Second, I get this. I don't mind it. I just don't know how you enforce it. Like, are you gonna search bags if they put it up there? Or do you just start charging people for the damage and all of that, which kind of sucks because it's not their fault that it is a faulty thing. But if you didn't follow the rules, even if you don't know the rules, it's kind of your fault. Could you imagine getting hit with a bill for that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's an interesting idea, the liability of it. And I should say other countries have been doing this. I've had my batteries inspected, make sure that the capacity is correct, in many airports around the world. So maybe this is just an evolution of where we go, but I still don't think we've had a ton of explosion. I think you're right. Having the right materials, this should be the first step
Yeah.
because lithium fires, and we see this with electric cars and stuff, they don't go out with just water or with normal stuff. You need a separate sort of thing for that. But my point to you is if it explodes in your hand or explodes in the bin, you're still going to know it exploded and you could put it out. I just don't understand why we can't have it up in the bin or below the seat in front of us.
Well, part of the problem, like the reason people were doing this is because so many airlines didn't have any power outlets. So it's kind of on them to a point too. I know they're getting better about it, but you didn't have plugs or USB jacks or anything, especially like a Southwest for years and years, didn't have any way to charge your things. So this is kind of like you made this problem in a way.
And the reality is there's batteries being checked in check luggage every single day that are not being caught. They don't scan every bag. And even with the rules and everything in place, people are still doing that. So I guess we just have to hold our breath and pray.
Squeeze your cheeks.
Squeeze your cheeks. Can we have some good news on this show? Google launches individual hotel pricing. Yes, you can go to Google Hotels now and actually track the price of a hotel, which is really neat. You search for the hotel, and then it just has a little button there where you can turn on price tracking for your exact dates. Now, people are saying, well, this is a miles and points show. But, sometimes there's deals. And then also tracking hotel prices for a hotel might indicate when award availability opens up. Of course, there's tools and stuff like that for award availability. Seats.aero has their hotel tracker, and there's many other tools available. But I think a lot of us are using Google services, and for an average traveler, this is useful. I don't know that I would use it all that much, but I think even just looking at markets like Vegas that get expensive for certain weekends, tracking multiple hotels in that market just to try to see if somebody kind of lowers their prices, it's a good tool to have.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about in the past how bad we are at going back and double checking our bookings. So I think that this is useful for that. Like if you book a hotel, you think it's a good deal, whether it's points or cash, I would set that alert. And then if it drops, that's kind of like an email reminder. All right, let me go in and see if the award price dropped or if the cash price dropped, rebook it for the cash price. So I think it's really useful if you play it that way. Maybe not so much for like booking into the future. It's a really useful reminder to go back and double check all your bookings before you travel, save some money. I mean, people save tens of thousands of points and miles by doing this. And if Google's willing to be your kind of like personal assistant in that realm by just clicking a button, then I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, and another way to say that is gardening your reservations.
Hey, no, no, no.
He just told me how much he hated that term, so I had to introduce it. I think, yeah, this is great. I think a great point on tracking the stuff that you've already done and making this an easy reminder. Even if you broke points, maybe there's more availability, all that sort of stuff. And it's simple. And I think we all have Google accounts, so we're all in that ecosystem. So you don't have to sign into something new. It just works really well. So just like with Google Flights, they have a similar sort of service that a lot of people use. So that's all good. I guess one last thing to close out, Mark, we didn't talk about your flights. How did that all work out for you coming to Vegas? I know you were doing all the switcheroos and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we flew out through Phoenix. We got in with like 50 minutes to go, so it wasn't a problem. The weird thing is, I had like a dream that I was gonna forget my computer before we left, and I didn't. But I had put the computer in the center part. You know, when you're sitting in first class, like there's a little flip up on the left side that you can kind of slide a computer down there, so you don't have to put it in the pocket. And I put it down there when I was done working. And I even double checked the front pocket. I double checked his because he left his headphones in there. And I got off the plane and I got like 15 steps away before I realized that I left my computer in there. So I'm glad I realized it quickly. But I did have to go back, and the gate agent's like, you have to wait till the whole plane gets off. And I'm thinking, well, somebody could just walk by and put that in their bag then. That's not a great, you can't call the flight attendant or anything. Luckily, I don't know if he was like an airline employee that was transitioning or what, but he seemed like somebody that maybe worked, because he brought it up when he was walking off with the other guests. He goes, this is from 2 Bravo, which I was in 2B. And I was like, okay, if he uses Bravo, he must be something with airlines, I would think, or maybe just a frequent traveler. And probably didn't mess with my stuff while I was walking up. But so that was that. And then on the way home, we did our red eye, and Connor swears he will never do another red eye in his life.
That's interesting to hear. So he just paid for it all the next day.
Yeah, we got back. He slept. He took a nap. We both took a nap when we got home, and then he passed out again, like around 5 p.m. for a little bit. And then the next day at school, he said he was pretty tired, but he seemed somewhat okay. So I said, "Hey, sometimes it's better to just take it on the chin, get back early so you can sleep, and then you don't lose that full day." But we went to the Capital One Lounge and hung out there until it closed at 11. Yeah, they had my favorite drink that was only at the DFW lounge. Each lounge has their own little specialty frozen drink that's supposed to be kind of a local thing. And it's like triple nickel frozen Irish coffee. And they had it in Vegas, which they didn't have that before. So I was really excited. Downed a couple of those before the flight. And it was a fine flight. No issues, really.
Yeah, glad it all worked out. I love that the red eye, you've been using that strategy. You'll leave on a weekend. You'll come a little early. You'll leave Saturday night on the red eye to get home and have time to rest on Sunday, instead of like leaving somewhat early on Sunday and then you get there super late because of the time change. And you do that. And it's actually, I could see that being a good strategy, just given the fact that you're going to lose the whole day anyway, flying home with the time change. It's not like you're going to be able to stay in Vegas till late, because then you end up on the red eye. So yeah, it's all good. So much fun on that trip. It was so good seeing Connor and seeing you guys in Vegas and letting you guys have you've been talking about doing that father-son trip forever. And yeah, I can't wait to roll out more of that through all of our shows, because you did so much. That was crazy. Even though you were only here 2 days, you did a lot.
Yeah, we were pretty pooped by halfway through Saturday. So we ended up laying down, taking a nap. I'm like, all right, do you want to go out and see some more things? Because he wanted to ride all the loop and things like that. He's like, no, Dad, I think we're okay here.
A successful Vegas trip always ends like that. If you feel like that at the end of a Vegas trip, you did it right. But let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. The bailouts for the budget airlines, fuel surcharges going up, portable batteries on airplanes. Is this new rule? Are you excited that it keeps you safe, or do you think it's dumb? Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week. We'll be back on Thursday with all the miles and points, credit cards, all the deals, that sort of news. Make sure to follow us, help us grow here on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure to tell a friend. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Talk to you next time.
You can call Thursday's show the Hyatt is Dead show. Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah.